Hi there, I'm Lita, and welcome to episode 2 of The Lit Spot, my YouTube channel slash podcast. I'm still figuring it out. That's all about acting and my journey as an artist, an actor, singer, dancer, um, on stage and on television and film, pretty much. Today's episode, I thought, let me just kickstart things off by just sharing techniques and tools that I like to use when I'm on set. As I mentioned before in my very first video, I spent some time studying acting at the Stella Adler studio in New York and the New York Film Academy. So I'm just going to share some tools, 5 tools that I like to use when I am on set or on stage, or I'm just prepping for a role and creating a character, and just the things that I like to consider in general. When I approach a character and I approach a role. Some of these may be familiar to you if you've ever, done any sort of acting training or that kind of thing. And if you're completely new, then hopefully this will help. Let's go. Starting with technique number 1. Imagination is stronger than will. So now I'm sure you'll agree that the imagination is pretty much limitless. So use that to your advantage in your acting, in the same way that you would use it even in your real life. If you imagine a better or different life for yourself. I mean, for example, in South Africa, we wouldn't be in the country we are today if someone like a Nelson Mandela didn't imagine a better future and didn't fight for that. That had to, take some kind of drive and emotional drive, not just sheer willpower. So in the same way as you are creating a world and a character, use your imagination to its limits, by creating circumstances, a past for your character, and that's what will reference all the emotions that sort of come from each action that you take as a character. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Technique number 2, understanding circumstances deeply. So now you need to be very specific about the world your character lives in. And this includes the relationships, where they're from, and what brought them to the moment in which they're in. So as the character, you need to ask yourself, who am I? Where am I? When is it? What just happened? What do I want? And what's getting in my way? This would be described as the given circumstances. So you need to be very specific about the backstory, the one that's been given to you in the script, or the one that you imagine for the character, and the little details that are not mentioned as well. So know about the time period, know about their family relationships and that kind of thing, and be very specific about those details, because that will just add so much more texture and realism to your performance, depending if that's what you're going for. Bringing us to technique number 3. Actions speak louder than words. Now, we all know as actors that it's all very well and good to feel. It's what we do. But without action that expresses what that feeling is, then there's not much for our audience to really read into or interpret or see. Genuine feeling and emotion arises when you're focused on the action taken by you as your character in order for them to get what they want. Whether it's throwing a vase against a wall because you're angry or just doing a dance to express excitement. Either way, that's an action that speaks a lot more than just feeling it. Technique number 4, using the body as part of storytelling. So as I mentioned in my first video, I also trained as a dancer, so I'm very aware of the body and movement and how important that is as a part of telling a story and giving life to a character beyond just words and, actions. From how the character walks, their posture, to how they dress and just do things, Body language can not only indicate an emotional state, but also the physical environment, like the weather. Is it hot? Is it cold? Or whatever. Then we can take it to another level with stunt choreography, like the John Wick franchise and Jackie Chan movies and stuff, and physical comedy where the body is definitely the main, tool in telling the story. I'm also a drag artist, so you better believe that my posture and the way that I walk and present myself is completely different when I'm wearing a pair of heels and a dress than it is when I'm just being Lita. So yeah, remember the body is probably one of the most important factors in storytelling. and creating character. Which then brings us to technique number 5, creating a private moment. As Stella Adler herself said, when you do something private on stage, the audience leans in. They don't watch, they witness. So, what this is all about is creating private moments for your character where they are completely alone, doing things that we would usually not do in front of, people or in public. But you have to do this with a camera and a crew, or even on stage where, there's a whole audience. So, it's a great exercise to create something that your character would usually do alone, whatever, and creating that private moment for yourself, even if it's not going to be seen on screen. An example of me using this is when I was shooting Netflix's One Piece. I play the character Gin, who is a pirate who has been stranded on a raft all by himself, with no food, no water, and finds himself on a ship, a restaurant ship called the Baratier, where he's fed by the character Sanji. So for myself, as an exercise, I imagined, okay, what was that private moment of him being alone on that raft, desperate, isolated, and all that kind of thing, which informed the scene. Hopefully, it came across, the trauma you could see in his eyes of what he'd been through. I had to imagine that before actually doing the scene. So for me, that was a great example of how to use that kind of technique in that kind of situation. Whether you're picking your nose or doing something private in the bathroom or stranded at sea. So, yeah, from what I've learned and how I choose to practice the craft, in my opinion, the best acting or even great acting is not about pretending. It's about revealing and ultimately being as truthful as possible in imaginary circumstances. So, go ahead and comment with your favorite technique, and let me know if you'd like to see more videos about tools and techniques about acting like this. There'll obviously be other content coming your way, but for now, just let me know what you think and click the subscribe button if you'd like to see more technique videos like this or craft focus videos and so much more. I'll see you in the next one.